Hi, Misha here, and we're keeping on with a closer and expanded look at various types of trooper. And today, well, to put it bluntly, we're with the guys who just kind of like to blow shit up. So we'll look at a few here. We actually have our friend Scorch back out because, you can't have this kind of a party and not invite him. Then we have the newly released rocket launcher Stormtrooper in the Black Series. Then we have the very cool Amazon exclusive artillery Stormtrooper as seen in Mandalorian. And then finally we have another, I think he was an Amazon exclusive or something. Maybe it was one of the convention ones. Anyway, the First Order Stormtrooper with the Mega Blaster, or just the Heavy Weapons Trooper, and his, Mega Blaster. These are all basically standard troopers, especially the bodies that are from the Black Series, but they have extra gear. They're also all basically special issues. They're not in the standard Black Series line. But, yeah, we'll just dive in, and let's refresh ourselves with Mr. Scorch here. Recently, I did an up-close, in-depth look at Delta Squad, so we're not going to talk about that here today. This is just about Scorch. He was the team's demolitions guy. Yeah, sometimes he had to defuse bombs, but that's not really what he liked to do. He liked blowing them up more. He always did. And that's why he has some charges on his leg here. And he's got an ordnance backpack with additional explosives gear and equipment and detonators. And then he keeps his DC-17M in its grenade launcher or anti-armor, anti-material configuration with this tube on the side. One little change I made, I found a gun belt, and I put it on him, and I stuffed a DC-15S in here, because Delta did use these, and I figured, well, he probably needs a backup gun in case his single-shot gun runs out, and because these canisters were so expensive and heavy, typically he only carried 3 or 4, although other squad mates would carry some as well. But the trade-off was, it was extremely powerful. It could pretty much blow up any kind of hardened installation, even penetrate armor of vessels or walkers. It could do a big deal of damage. Also, later in the Clone Wars, they would introduce a breaching grenade version, which had a bit more range, but a more focused. But note that Scorch here, his color is yellow. And he's worth mentioning because after the Clone Wars, he was one of the commandos that worked to train the TK troopers, the first generation of Stormtroopers, and his influence is certainly felt. This is the Artillery Stormtrooper, or Mortar Trooper, or Shell Trooper. And note that he is in yellow, kind of a la Scorch. He also has a pauldron, but otherwise is wearing standard Stormtrooper armor, although he does have a special ordnance backpack with additional detonators in here. He also doesn't have the thermal detonator over his butt, so it'll fit, but it's an ordnance backpack. And it has a place where he can clip his E11 on the side, so his hands are free to work his main launcher. This is a neat figure because these canisters actually detach from the backpack. And it does come with the E11, of course, which is pretty neat. But the star of the show is, of course, his mortar over here. This is the Mirsun Model 201 mortar launcher, indirect fire. It uses an electromagnetic coil system to launch canisters, all kinds of different canisters, In the Mandalorian, they're thermal detonator types, but he can launch others out of this. And it links up with his helmet and tracking systems to aim. And even though this is very clearly World War II type technology or Vietnam technology, that's Star Wars for you, it's said to be more accurate in everything, indirect fire, because of the electronics involved. And this mortar can collapse down to be man-portable, which is pretty neat. And the mold this figure comes with is neat too, because it has this moving bipod. It has a moving base piece, so you can actually angle it, move it around, swivel it. And it's even hollow inside, where you can drop one of the canisters from the backpack in to kind of simulate the thump. The only kind of downside is well, I guess you could put his hands either here or here and have him on the mortar, kind of hunkered over. Be kind of neat if there was a way to strap this to the backpack too. And one kind of slight annoyance, because they're using the regular Stormtrooper mold, the backpack doesn't stick in the most firm. I usually use a little blue tack to tack it in, but no big deal if it falls out. But yeah, I think this is one of the coolest Stormtroopers, and it helps that he was quite visible in The Mandalorian as part of Gideon's Imperial Remnant. Interestingly, this Model 201 launcher dates back to the Clone Wars. It was used by the Republic Commandos against the Separatists, and that, plus the fact, like I said, he's wearing yellow like Scorch, kind of makes a direct connection between these two guys. But our next guy, well, he doesn't go for indirect. The Imperial Rocket Launcher Trooper, not to be confused with Rocket Trooper, which is a variant of the Jet Trooper. He's part of the Gaming Greats line because he's seen in Jedi Fallen Order. Presumably he'll be in Jedi Survivor too. I don't know. And he's just the standard mold. And he has, I believe, a red pauldron. Yeah. Some have criticized this, saying it's a First Order pauldron. It might be, but I've noticed the same pauldron on other things, like, for example, the Purge Trooper. So it seems to be also just the type used for Fallen Order. But the mold itself is just your regular Stormtrooper. That's fine. The big deal here is, of course, the big deal here. A basically 6-inch long rocket launcher, single-shot rocket launcher, very clearly inspired by an RPG. Has some elements of the 7 and other stuff. And there's 3 different places he can grip it. I put it in the far rear, which I think is kind of more of a pod, but I find that a little easier for him to hold it this way. And it does have some pretty intricate molding in the back. It's a shame he did not come with a E11. I think with a single-shot weapon like this, he should have a backup blaster, but I don't believe in Fallen Order he did. I think he was a single-shot and reload guy. It would have also been kind of neat if he had a backpack full of rockets. So while I really like the launcher, I think it's great to finally get a rocket launcher in the Black Series. I feel like he should have come with more. Again, kind of like the artillery guy. This one was done right. Same Stormtrooper, but you had his launcher, a backpack, extra rounds, and an E11 for good measure. Scorch did a really good job too. So I like this guy, but I'm just a little disappointed he didn't come with more. But I'm at least happy they didn't half-ass the rocket launcher, and it's nice to have one. And the fact that he actually can hold it quite well. He has a standard backpack with thermal detonator. Again, nothing really special there. But he definitely qualifies in the blowing shit up Stormtrooper category. This launcher is actually very heavy too. It's solid plastic, not hollow. So that's cool. And finally, we come to our First Order Stormtrooper. As I've said before, while I'm not the biggest fan of some of the First Order plot points, I actually like their designs just fine, and I like this figure quite a bit. This guy came in a really neat set where you could configure him a few different ways. You could make him into a riot trooper, you could make him into a comms officer, standard infantry, but everyone, I think, bought him to make him into the heavy stormtrooper, or as they were known, the mega blaster trooper. He has this web gear, this vest with extra ammo. There's even a separate ammo pouch you can kind of move around, kind of neat. And he has a generator backpack. He does come with a gun. He had the standard first order pistol, the SE-44. The kit also came with the standard first order F-11 blaster rifle, and though either one will clip onto his hip. I just thought, since he's carrying so much gear, that a pistol was perfect. So that's what I set him up with. So quite a few accoutrements with the guy, and you can strip him off and whatnot, but the underlying body is just a first order Stormtrooper. The star of the show is, of course, his FWMB-10 Mega Blaster. And we've seen a few versions of this in the Black Series. There's one that's like pintle mounted. There's one with a folded up monopod. But this one here has a deployed, I think they're like tripod. It's kind of a semi-tripod, but it is working. It moves. And it even has a little kind of support monopod in the back, which is good because it's hard to get a figure's hand around this California legal. Well, I guess even now that's not even. Anyway, thumbhole stock. Thumbhole stocks are bad, okay? It even has this moving piece up here, which I often use as a handle, but I think it's supposed to be a scope or sight. But yeah, there's articulated pieces. This is actually a 4-piece thing, and it's nearly as big as our rocket launcher. About 4.5, 5 inches. It's big. And since we don't have a E-Web heavy repeater blaster in the Black Series, this is the next best thing, and it too, at least the general design dates all the way back to the Clone Wars, some versions of it, because we see separatists and some clones alike using it. But yeah, we finally have a heavy machine gunner here. It's a shame that he's a limited production guy. Special issue. But yeah, his job is to lay down suppressing fire. But it's not so heavy, it's not portable. It can be deployed in under 30 seconds. It has stabilization, magnetic controls, a heat shroud around the barrel, all that good stuff. And as you can tell, it's based on a real world machine gun, quite a heavy one, but not any one specific that I'm aware of. So he's using a blaster bolt to blow things up. Kind of completes the set very nicely, and I, making a display, I wouldn't mind putting this with the Stormtrooper. It looks Star Wars enough. It's not uniquely identifiable as First Order, so that's kind of why I wanted it, to have something for whatnot. So yeah, that's my next little set of guys. These guys just kind of remind me of the G.I. Joes we grew up with, and their big guns and bazookas and whatnot. And it's just neat. And typically with the Black Series, the figure is the star of the show. But with these guys, no, it's more about their ordnance and supporting gear. That's what really makes Scorch unique. And of course, the artillery and the rocket and the Mega Blaster, they're just standard bodies with extra cool stuff on, so I thought we would do a little closer look. Plus, I haven't shown you, I know I haven't shown you the rocket launcher. Can't remember if I've shown you the artillery or not. Either way, we've got them here. So, which is your favorite? For me, yeah, probably the artillery. It's well done. It's just a shame that all of these are special in some way. But if you buy them when they first come out from the Black Series, they're not really exorbitantly expensive, or wait for them to go on sale at Amazon. That's usually what I do. With that, I will catch you very soon next time, probably with guys who want to really get up close and personal to know you. This is Misha, and I'll catch you very soon then.